Yes, thank you, Isabel. So on with the panel discussion with our end users. The three end users representatives present today who will be taking my questions are Pierluigi Petrali, who is Head of Manufacturing R&D at Whirlpool, Vasilis Bozinos, who is Vice President of Operations at MJ Miles, and Jérôme Verstig, who is Senior Project Manager at FFT Produktionssysteme. First of all, the format will be I will ask each of these representatives a question, and they can answer in their own words, and then after that we'll see if we have time for some additional questions. So we'll start with Pierluigi and the white goods use case at Whirlpool. Whirlpool's use case comprises a new complete and complex production line which was already fully sensorized. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how Uptime integrated with your production system, especially how it handles the complexity of your use case, and anything else you want to mention in that context. So Pierluigi, over to you. You have about 5 minutes.
Thank you, Carl, and good afternoon to all the attendees. Well, 2 questions. I will try to be quite synthetic in my answer. First, about the complexity. Of course, we are dealing with a huge automatic line that, as you mentioned, were already sensorized. That's because since some years now, we are asking our suppliers to provide already sensorized with a lot of data coming out from the machine to monitor it, to calculate the efficiency, to have some diagnostic, to measure the quality of the parts. This has to do, of course, with the also having a vast amount of data available, and sometimes it's very difficult to find a strict and direct correlation between what the sensors are recording and what are the actual behavior of the machine in terms of wearing of the parts, malfunctioning, or the quality. So the approach, in my opinion, is the answer. The fact that Uptime provides to us a way, for example, to analyze batch data, so to get back to all our knowledge that we were already present in some years of collected data, allowed us to find out some interesting or better, not just to find interesting path, but to select the most important one, the most efficient one. So to somehow get out some needle from the haystack and making sure that we are shortening up the learning phase, which is pretty long for a new equipment, as you were mentioning. The second point is about the integration. This is another important point for large industries. Of course, we were not starting from scratch. We were already some ERP present. We were already some MES present, CMMS present. So and as you said, the machine was already sensorized. Here, I think the great advantage of Uptime was its modularity. So we're not a problem for us to just provide the data, for example, already stored in an existing database in our premises, and to start the predict module without any big trouble. So we just decided to enter into the platform using a different door, not the door of sense, so to connect the machine, but the door of predict. And that's true also for the outcome. I mean, most probably, the prediction can not just be managed by the Uptime platform in our future implementation, but will be managed by our CMMS. And that's very important because it allows a predictive maintenance system to be actually implemented in an existing reality without big troubles, and also to start gradually. So we can start by just applying one module and then move as soon as we are able to learn together with the system.
Okay, thank you very much, Gigi. That was a very lucid and I think very interesting answer. I might come back to you later if we have some more time, but I think we can move on to the next use case. Okay, so question for Vasilis about cold rolling. So cold rolling of steel tape is characterized, as I mentioned earlier, by production assets which are exposed to really high wear, lots of quick degradation of critical components. I'd like to ask you how Uptime has contributed to improving maintenance of these assets and how it actually affects your processes in the production of the steel tape. Vasilis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are. Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Carl. The rollers are actually working in a quite aggressive environment due to the nature of the process. And this aggressive environment includes high temperatures, vibrations, very frequent assembly or disassembly works, and things like that. This makes their service life a critical factor for both the process efficiency and the production cost. Actually, Uptime's platform offered us a great, I would say, support in collecting and exploiting the data provided by the sensors installed on the milling rollers, either on them or next to them, depending on how hard it was to install them and what was the optimum position to put them. So this exploitation actually started showing quite encouraging signs about optimizing the time to change them over or to determining the right time to replace them. Unfortunately, coronavirus situation didn't allow us to take out the most we could from the project, but as long as we were running through it, we could clearly see that we could gain from the rollers purchase and repair. I can say that moreover that, keeping the rollers in an appropriate shape, the quality of the produced steel band improved a lot. And that led us to save more from non-rejected products that was produced through a defective process, let's say. So that was a general view. That was the backbone from our experience working with Uptime platform.
Very good. Thank you very much, Vasilis. Again, I'll come back to you in a few minutes once we've had a chance to talk to Jérôme from FFT. So, Jérôme, your use case, as you know, and I think it's always been sort of the running lead-in to this use case is a kind of an outlier because, actually we're not looking at production assets which are fixed in a production line or something, but we're looking at mobile assets which are moving throughout Europe in different environments. Seeing this as a completely different use case than the other two, could you tell us a little bit about what your requirements were towards Uptime and how Uptime actually helped you solve some of the predictive maintenance problems you have with your mobile jigs?
Yeah, thank you, Carl. Yeah, I can tell a few words about that for sure. I think there are actually two very significant differences from our use case in comparison to the other ones. One obviously is that we are talking about mobile assets, but also a very important one is that it's actually in the context of maintenance as a service. So that means even though in this case we also built these mobile assets in an unrelated project, the project where we now as a company use Uptime in this case is in a maintenance project which we provide as a service for these mobile assets. So what is very important in this kind of projects is that we as a service provider can give the customer the feedback they need to assess our performance, not only the technical performance of the assets, but also the performance of our maintenance service. So that led to one of the important additional requirements for us for the Uptime platform, which is that Uptime actually should provide multiple stakeholders in different capacities with the information which is gathered by the Uptime system. And this is, of course, if you provide maintenance as a service, a very big cost driver as well, because if you talk to our maintenance people who do the actual work for the customer, they spend a lot of time on reporting to the customer to prove that they actually have achieved KPIs and that they have basically made sure that the availability and the quality of the assets under maintenance is up to speed. So what Uptime in this sense offered us is the capability to on demand provide information to our customer in terms of maintenance reporting. They can just go in there and have their own view of the data and see everything they want to know about the asset performance without having to schedule meetings with our maintenance with our company as a maintenance service provider to get all this information. So this saves a lot of coordination overhead for our maintenance staff. Another thing, of course, is also that a maintenance team, as we deploy it for the customer, is also consists of multiple different people who all have their own job, and they can all through this on-demand access to the data of the Uptime platform, can all access the data they need to perform their job. So this was a very important facility in the Uptime platform, which is given by the Uptime platform for us. So that is the part of the stakeholder management, basically, within the platform. Another very significant thing, in contrast to, for example, what Pierluigi of Whirlpool mentioned, they have already existing sensor capabilities and data acquisition capabilities. In our case, the mobile assets were pretty much just mechanical assets, which are complex but not instrumented yet. So another thing what we also co-developed within the Uptime platform, Uptime project, and which is also very significant for our usage, is the Uptime Sense component, which provides a mobile data acquisition platform, which we can very flexibly attach to the mobile assets, and which will then stream the data into the platform, and which we can consequently use. This was also shown in the example of Dimitris, where he showed the GPS data in combination with the dynamic data, shocks, environmental data, and so on. So this is from the data acquisition perspective. So from these two main perspectives, we have a very high potential benefit to optimize our complete maintenance process, in this case, as maintenance as a service.
Great, thank you very much, Jeroen. That was a very very nice and I think lucid answer that gives good insights. Actually, there's a question just popped up in the chat directly to you, Jeroen. So I think I'll just ask it. Whoops, it's disappeared again. How do maintenance providers interact with your system? Is something that Karim Kalfane from IIOT is asking. Do you think you can answer that?
Sure, thank you, Karim, for your question. Yeah, so the actually in our case, we are the we as a company are the maintenance provider. So and our maintenance team would be the execution team for the maintenance service. and they can basically through the web interface enter the maintenance platform with their own username and password, and then get customized view of the data. So if I may get back a little bit to the other stakeholders as well, you could imagine that the customer as a stakeholder, he logs in with his data. He would get an overview which is quite top level and just lists a few KPIs. And if a maintenance coordinator, for example, from our company would log into the platform, he sees a list of assets and color code what is the status of the asset, and can then drill down basically in each asset to see why is it red, where is it, and what is the problem with it, if there is any. So this is the idea where you can actually have one databases for multiple stakeholders, which have or who have all a different view of this same data.
Okay, thank you, Jerome. I think
I
there
see
are more questions coming. Yes,
I see the next question.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just go ahead and answer it if you like.
I will answer this as well.
So the question is, how do you convince them to log in with name and password?
Yeah. So to be fair, at the current stage, we have not. This is still a pilot phase, so we have focused on the capabilities we have here from the system, but so it's not yet a complete production flow, which is on a day-to-day basis deployed. But generally speaking, I mean, you have the maintenance, the people who perform the maintenance, they are responsible for their maintenance reports. So usually they sign off on their checklists, on their maintenance reports as well. So it's not that they would have less or more privacy in this case than in a paper-based process, I would say. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. I see there's more questions coming up there, but I think they're a little bit more in the direction of technical detail towards the platform. So I would say that they should be answered in the technical sessions later on, where you can discuss about these issues in detail. So I saw one about how we combine text data with digital data, and there's one coming up here about time taken to implement Uptime in a new use case. I think we should move those into the more intensive sessions. I would just like to ask one simple question to all of you, so I would take the same sequences earlier, starting with Gigi and then Vasilis and then Jeroen. And my question to close this panel session would be, what advice would you give companies who are just starting to look into predictive maintenance? What is your main takeaway from Uptime? Perhaps something that surprised you, or something that you think other companies should know. So starting with you, Gigi.
Yeah, spend the accurate time to learn first. So the risk of starting gathering data, analyzing them, and arrive after 1 year with nothing is very high. So the most important part is to learn, start gradually, start gathering, start making an FMECA first, so to know better your machine. Start gathering some data, start analyze them, and just when you know that there are some potential correlation between what the machine is telling to you and what's the events are telling to you, you can combine them together in a system. That's, in my opinion, the most important. And that do not underevaluate the need for skilled people in the shop floor.
Thank you, Gigi. I think that was succinct but clear. So, Vasilis, do you have a similar insight?
Yeah, almost yes. I would say that a platform like Uptime's platform definitely could help any user, an industrial user, to plan his maintenance in an optimum way, saving time, saving money, and improve his equipment efficiency and safety. So I would advise a new user to get focused on the target, to be disciplined, to follow the procedure already established by the partners or the platform itself. And most important is to be patient, not to be in a hurry, because it takes time and a lot of effort to get reliable results in the right form and the right time. That's it.
Thank you, Vasilis. Also a very clear message. And to close this panel session, Jeroen, you have 1 minute time to give me or give all of us a little bit of your lessons learned.
Yeah, I would say something similar. So I think start gradually is a very important thing, which means that you don't have to run and make a huge investment. And this is exactly, I think also what Uptime can offer, because it's very modular in terms of data acquisition, even the hardware, if you need it or not. But also the other modules, the complexity of the deployment. So that means that, that I would say just go for it, make a small pilot project within the company, and make a simple deployment first, and just extend it if it brings you what you expect from it, and to go further into it. And then in this way you also decrease the risk tremendously. So this is a good way to work with it.
Good. Thank you very much, Jeroen and Gigi and Vasilis, for your very insightful answers. And I think we made it exactly on time.